My name is Chloe, and at 35, I pride myself on being meticulous and organized. As an auditor for a large company, my keen eye for details serves me well, both professionally and personally. My friends often tease me about my enthusiasm for the organization, especially when it comes to financial matters like saving receipts and timely tax payments. But for me, these habits are essential for maintaining order in my life. Now, let me share the story of how I met my husband, Theodore. It was at a gathering hosted by our mutual friend, Victoria. That evening, as I enjoyed some wine and conversation with college friends, Theodore arrived. He was slightly older, exuding confidence and sporting a charismatic smile. He worked as a manager at a food sales company. "Hey, I'm Theodore. Do you mind if I join you?" he asked, beer in hand and eyes meeting mine. "Sure, I'm Chloe. Nice to meet you," I responded with a smile. We hit it off immediately, finding common ground in our love for hiking and classic rock. A few months into our relationship, Theodore invited me to a barbecue at his sister Audrey's place. It was my first time meeting his family, and although Audrey welcomed us warmly, her kids were quite the handful, running around, screaming and tossing toys. Despite my discomfort with the chaos, Theodore seemed unbothered, amused by their energy. As our relationship deepened, Theodore proposed during a picturesque hike. It was a simple yet perfect moment atop a hill with a stunning valley view. Our wedding followed, beautiful but not without its challenges, particularly Audrey's kids, who were as unruly as ever. Theodore found their antics amusing, while I struggled with my frustration quietly. After marrying, Theodore and I decided it was time to buy our own home, moving from our rented apartment. One evening, we sat down to discuss our finances, eager to start this exciting new chapter together. With our combined love for organization and adventure, I felt hopeful about our future, despite the occasional challenges his family might bring. As Theodore and I settled into the reality of buying a new home together, we found ourselves navigating the practical aspects of merging our lives more fully. "Chloe, we need to figure out how to divide the expenses," Theodore said one evening, reclining on the couch in our current place. "Yeah, I've been thinking about that too," I replied thoughtfully. "I can take care of purchasing the furniture, appliances, and a few art pieces to decorate. What about you?" Theodore, ever the surprise giver, had a different kind of proposal. "How about I buy you a new car? I know your old one has been a hassle," he offered, with a considerate smile. The idea delighted me. My car was on its last legs, and the thought of a reliable replacement was more than welcome. We jumped into house hunting with enthusiasm and, after several weeks, fell in love with a charming, albeit slightly expensive, house. We decided it was worth the investment. Moving in was chaotic, but decorating our new space was an exciting endeavor for me. I dedicated many hours to selecting stylish, high-quality furniture and appliances. Not long after settling in, Theodore surprised me with a sleek, shiny new sedan. "Theodore, this is incredible." "Thank you so much," I exclaimed, overwhelmed with gratitude as I hugged him. Life in our new home started wonderfully. We both thrived in our jobs and cherished our time in the cozy environment we had created. However, not everything was perfect. Theodore's laid-back attitude, which I had once found endearing, began to irritate me, especially regarding household responsibilities. One evening, after a long day, I asked him to help with the dishes. Chloe, I had a rough day. Can it wait until tomorrow?" he responded, his eyes pleading for leniency. But I insisted on maintaining our home's cleanliness, and reluctantly, he agreed to help. A few months into our marriage, I began to worry about not being able to get pregnant. It was an added stressor, and despite the doctors advising patience, it was hard not to feel anxious. To complicate matters, Theodore's sister, Audrey, who lived in a neighboring state, visited often, bringing chaos with her. Whenever she was over, she would unload her marital problems on me nonstop. "Chloe, you won't believe what David did this time," she would start, her frustration palpable. I tried to change the subject, hoping for a break from the constant drama, but Audrey insisted on venting. Her kids were just as disruptive. Their visits turned our home into a circus, running around, fighting, and being generally loud. After a tough work week, all I wanted was some peace, but that seemed impossible with the chaos they brought. Guys, please calm down, I would plead, trying to restore some order. Why are you always so uptight, Chloe? Audrey would snap back, adding to the tension. Amid these challenges, Theodore and I continued to navigate our life together, balancing the joys of our new home with the complexities of family dynamics and personal hopes. Despite the occasional strains, our foundation was strong, built on love, shared dreams, and an ever-deepening commitment to each other. Each time I tried to get Audrey's children to behave, I would plead, "They're making a mess, Audrey. I just cleaned the house." But my patience was thinning. One day, when I expressed my frustration, Audrey retorted sharply, "Well, maybe if you had your kids, you'd understand." Her words struck me deeply, not only because they were harsh, but because she knew of my struggles with fertility. It felt like a direct attack, and I was astounded that Theodore stood by silently. "Theodore, are you going to let her speak to me like this?" I asked, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and hurt. To my dismay, Theodore dismissed my concerns. "Chloe, calm down. You're making a big deal out of nothing," he said, taking Audrey's side again. "It's not nothing. She insulted me in our home," I exclaimed, tears starting to form. I was at my breaking point, tired of being disrespected in my own home and having my husband continually side with his sister.
I knew something needed to change.
On Saturday, Audrey arrived unexpectedly with her kids in tow, declaring she needed a break and was going shopping. "Fine, Audrey, but make it quick," I said, the stress evident in my tone. She thanked me and rushed out, leaving me with the kids and a growing sense of dread. I was in the kitchen trying to prepare dinner, a task I prefer to do meticulously, but with the kids causing chaos, concentrating was impossible. They were yelling, running around, and generally wreaking havoc. "Can you guys keep it down?" I called out from the kitchen, hoping for a moment of peace. They ignored me, and soon after, a loud crash from the living room sent me racing in. There, amidst the debris, lay my grandfather's shattered antique Chinese vase. My heart sank as I surveyed the damage. "What the hell happened here?" I demanded, my voice shaking as I looked at the kids who now stood still, guilt written all over their faces. "We were just playing," one mumbled, avoiding my gaze. "This vase is priceless. It belonged to my grandfather. Do you have any idea what you've done?" I was livid, my whole body trembling with anger. Just then, Theodore walked in, his demeanor calm and clueless. "What's going on?" he asked. I pointed to the shattered vase. "Your nephews just broke my grandfather's vase. Look at this mess." Theodore's response only inflamed the situation. "Calm down, Chloe. It's just a vase. We can get it fixed," he said, dismissing my feelings. "It's not just about the vase, Theodore. It's about respect. I'm tired of this. Every time Audrey comes over, our house turns into a disaster zone, and you don't seem to care," I shouted, my voice cracking with frustration. Audrey walked in at that moment, shopping bags in hand, and looked annoyed by the commotion. "What's all this yelling about?" she asked. I pointed to the remnants of the vase on the floor. "Your kids broke my grandfather's vase, Audrey. Look at this mess." Instead of apologizing, she retorted, "Well, maybe you should have kept a better eye on them, Chloe." "Are you kidding me? They're your children, Audrey. I shouldn't have to watch them," I replied, my anger peaking. Theodore just shook his head, looking annoyed. "You're overreacting, Chloe." "Just drop it," he said. I was fed up. Overreacting? I've had enough of this. "I'm tired of being treated like I don't matter in my own home," I said, finally standing up for myself, determined to make a change. The disrespect had become too much to bear, and I knew that for the sake of my dignity and happiness, something had to give. Tears spilled over as I shouted, with Theodore just standing there, silent and impassive, while Audrey had a smirk that seemed to declare a victory. Overwhelmed by a mix of anger, hurt, and betrayal, I stormed out of the room. Dealing with the chaos of Audrey and her kids' visits had been exhausting for months, but I wasn't prepared for what came next. One morning, As Theodore sat casually munching on his toast at the kitchen table, he dropped a bombshell as nonchalantly as if he was commenting on the weather. Chloe, I need to tell you something. Audrey's getting divorced and she's moving in with us with the kids for a few months, he said. I nearly dropped my coffee. Are you serious? Our house is already a madhouse when they visit for a day. How are we supposed to handle them living here for months? I questioned in disbelief. She's my sister, Chloe. She needs our help. You need to be more understanding, he replied, his look suggesting that I was being unreasonable. Understanding? I had been nothing but accommodating, but this was too much. Why can't we rent a place for her nearby? I'll even pay for the first month's rent, I suggested, trying to maintain my composure. No, she'll be better off here. Plus, you can help with the kids and keep things clean, he stated as if it were the most obvious solution. I'm not a babysitter, Theodore. I work too, and I need to relax when I get home, I argued, my frustration mounting. Stop being so selfish, Chloe. It's family, they need us, he countered, his tone growing sharper. I'm not being selfish, Theodore. I'm just asking for a reasonable solution. I'm not going to let my life be turned upside down, I retorted, feeling my anger rise. Well, they're coming tomorrow evening, so you better get used to the idea, he declared, standing up and leaving the kitchen. I was blindsided and felt utterly betrayed. The next morning, still fuming from our argument, I dressed for work and went to grab my car keys, but they were nowhere to be found. When I called Theodore, his voice was unnervingly calm. I took the car. It's mine, remember? I'm giving it to Audrey so she can use it for the kids, he informed me. You're giving my car to Audrey? Are you serious right now? I was stunned. It's not your car, Chloe. I paid for it, and she needs it more than you do, he replied, matter-of-factly. That was the last straw. Theodore, you've taken everything from me, and I'm done, I said, my voice shaking with anger. What are you talking about? Don't be dramatic, Chloe, he dismissed, clearly not grasping the depth of my feelings. Standing in the hallway, holding my phone, it felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. How had things gotten so bad? Determined, I called a moving company. Hi, I need a team to move some furniture and appliances today. It's urgent, I requested. The movers arrived a few hours later, and I directed them around the house, pointing out the items to be moved. Take everything, beds, sofas, chandeliers, even the faucets in the bathroom. As the house began to empty, a strange sense of relief washed over me. Watching each piece being carried out, I directed the movers to my mother's house, ready to start anew, free from the turmoil that had taken over my life. With the house now emptied, I gave the movers a tip, thanking them for their prompt work. I gathered my essentials and headed to my mom's place. Within a few hours, my phone started buzzing incessantly. It was Theodore calling, but I ignored the calls, feeling a mix of anxiety and newfound empowerment. That evening, there was a loud knock at my mom's door. I opened it to find Theodore standing there, his expression furious. What the hell, Chloe? What did you do? He yelled as he barged into the living room. I took my belongings, Theodore. You took the car, so I took what I bought, I replied, maintaining my composure. This is insane. You stripped the house bare. Where are Audrey and the kids supposed to sleep? He shouted, his face flushed with anger. That's your problem, Theodore. You made this mess. Now you deal with it, I retorted, my arms crossed. You're a thief, Chloe. You stole everything, he accused, gesticulating wildly. I didn't steal anything. Here are the receipts, I said calmly, pulling out a folder and showing him proof of purchase for all the furniture and appliances. He flipped through the receipts, his anger turning to frustration. Fine, Chloe. If this is how you want to play it, I'll file for divorce, he declared. I took a deep breath and handed him a stack of papers. Already done. Here are the divorce papers. Sign them, and we're done, I stated. He looked at the papers, his face turning pale. You're really serious about this, aren't you? Dead serious, Theodore. I deserve better than this, I affirmed, feeling an unusual sense of calm wash over me. He took a pen from his pocket, signed the papers without another word, and handed them back to me. Fine, Chloe. Have it your way. I watched as he turned and walked out of my mom's house, the door slamming behind him. I stood there for a moment, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. It was over, and deep down, I knew it was the right decision. That night, I sat down with my mom and recounted everything that had happened. She was incredibly supportive and agreed that I had made the right choice. "Chloe, you've been through a lot. It's time you focused on yourself and your happiness," she said, giving me a comforting hug.
Thanks, Mom.
"I just need some time to figure things out," I replied, feeling a significant weight lifted off my shoulders. Over the next few days, I began settling into a new routine, organizing my new space at my mom's house and planning my next steps. It was a fresh start, and for the first time in a long while, I felt hopeful about the future. I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to face it head-on. I had reclaimed my life, and there was no turning back. After the divorce, Theodore and I sold our house and split the proceeds. I decided it was time to find my own space. One afternoon, while sitting in the kitchen with my mom, I scrolled through apartment listings on my laptop. "Mom, I think I found a place that looks perfect. It's a small apartment downtown, close to work," I said, showing her the pictures. She leaned over my shoulder and smiled. "That looks nice, Chloe. Have you called the realtor yet?" "Not yet," I replied, ready to take the next step in building my new life. "All right, I'm doing this now," I said to myself, a flutter of excitement in my stomach. I picked up my phone, dialed the number, and waited eagerly for the realtor to answer. After a few rings, a warm voice greeted me. "Hello, this is Ethan. How may I assist you today?" "Hi, Ethan. My name is Chloe. I saw your listing for the downtown apartment. Is it still available?" I asked, my fingers crossed under the table. "Yes, it's still on the market. Would you like to come see it?" Ethan's voice carried a hint of hope. "That would be perfect. How about tomorrow afternoon?" I tried to keep my voice steady. "That works for me." "Let's meet at 4 p.m., Ethan confirmed. We ended the call, and the next day I was downtown, ready to meet Ethan and see the apartment. He was standing outside the building, his smile welcoming. "Hi, Chloe. Great to meet you. Let's take a tour," he said, offering a handshake. The apartment was charming, compact yet inviting, with a neat kitchen, a generous living room, and a small balcony that offered a pretty view of the city skyline. "This place is ideal, Ethan." "I'll take it," I declared, a wave of relief washing over me. After signing the lease and collecting the keys, I began planning my move. The next few days were a whirlwind of packing at my mom's house and coordinating with movers for the heavy lifting. On a moving day, my mom and a few friends were there to help. As we loaded the last box into the truck, I felt a mix of excitement and nerves about starting anew. "Chloe, this is a wonderful new beginning for you," my mom said, giving me a comforting hug.
Thanks, Mom.
"I'm looking forward to making this place my own," I replied with a smile. We drove to my new apartment and, with everyone's help, had everything unpacked and arranged quickly. As I looked around my new home, I felt proud and content. It was the start of something new, and I was ready. That evening, to celebrate, I invited my mom and friends over for dinner. We sat on the floor amid boxes, eating pizza and laughing. To Chloe and her new adventure, my friend Victoria toasted, lifting her soda. "Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate all the support," I said, grateful for their help. As the night progressed, we shared stories and laughed, and for the first time in a long while, I felt genuinely happy. Later, sitting on my balcony and looking out at the city lights, I reflected on my journey and how far I'd come. I was proud of myself for taking the reins of my life. I had heard through friends that Theodore, my former boyfriend, had bought a small apartment with his share of our mutual funds. He was now living there with Audrey and her 3 kids, working 3 jobs to keep up with expenses while they struggled with constant disagreements. One day, unexpectedly, Theodore called. Seeing his name flash on my phone screen surprised me, but curiosity got the better of me. "Hello, Theodore. What's up?" I asked, my tone neutral. "Chloe, please, just hear me out," he began, his voice desperate. "I know I messed up, and I'm so sorry for everything. As I listened, I realized how much I had grown and how different my life was now, filled with new beginnings and positive steps forward. I hadn't grasped the extent of your struggles until now. Observing Audrey's kids, I couldn't help but chuckle slightly. Really, Theodore? It's taken you this long to realize? I asked incredulously. I know it's late, but I'm sincere. I've spent a lot of time reflecting, and I miss you. I miss us. Can we start fresh? I'm willing to move into your place and set things right, he explained, his voice filled with earnestness. I laughed, shaking my head in disbelief. Theodore, you can't be serious. You think you can just stroll back into my life as if nothing ever happened? Chloe, I mean it. I'll do anything it takes, even pick up extra work to make amends, he continued, desperation creeping into his tone. Theodore, I've moved on. I'm content now, and I'm not looking to revisit that turmoil, I responded firmly. Come on, Chloe.
We can make it work this time.
I've changed, he persisted. I sighed, feeling both pity and irritation. Theodore, it's over. You need to focus on your own life and your family. I'm not interested in returning to that chaos. Chloe, please, I'm begging you, he pleaded, his voice cracking. Theodore, no. I've found peace without you, and I'm not sacrificing that, I asserted, standing my ground. Take care, Theodore. I hope you find your path. Hanging up the phone, I felt a mix of relief and finality. It was evident Theodore was struggling, but I couldn't let his issues pull me back into a situation I had diligently extricated myself from. Later that day, I met Victoria for coffee and shared the news. You won't believe who called me today, I said, rolling my eyes.
Who?
Victoria inquired, arching an eyebrow. Theodore. He begged me to take him back and let him move into my apartment, I recounted, shaking my head. Victoria burst out laughing, nearly choking on her coffee. Are you serious? What did you say? I told him no, of course. I'm not going back to that mess, I replied, smiling. We spent the afternoon chatting and laughing, and I was struck by how much I had progressed. I had crafted a new life for myself, one of peace and satisfaction. I was determined not to let anyone disrupt it. As I walked home, a profound sense of contentment and closure washed over me. I had finally turned the page on that chapter of my life, ready to advance with confidence and happiness.